Good evening, Yin class. I'm so looking forward to this Yin. I hope you are too. Come and join me. There we are, you're popping on. Good morning, good evening. Good evening, Dagmar. I hope you're well. Hello, Fiona. Again. Hi, Christine. Hope you're well. Hello, Elaine. Thank you for those little video clips. Thank you on Saturday. Hope you enjoyed your mantra. Well, I know you did. I love your chanting. I had great fun. It's taught me a lot. Even just seeing your clips were very useful that I wasn't allowing. Hi, Vari. I know I wasn't allowing enough time for the response in the mantra class. So thank you for those little clips because that's really helped me if we're still in this situation next time. Hi, Rachel. I love this bit when I see all your names scrolling up. It doesn't always work very well, and then sometimes I think that people are not there and then I see all the names at the end. It's like Facebook catches up. So we've got 6 of you so far. Lovely to see all your little pictures. I hope you're all doing well. Seven. Who's just came on? Send me a little hi so I can see who you are. I can't make out the picture. 8, 9. Good evening, good evening. The possibility is a couple of people ill tonight, but there's possibility of quite a lot of you again this week. Hope you're all looking forward to your Yin yoga practice. 10 of you on board. Give me a little hi. If you know how to type while you're on live, just say hi. And then step back from the keyboard and relax and enjoy your yoga practice. Hello, Barbara. Hello, Trevor. Good evening. Nice to see you all. 9 of you. This went 10, 9, 9, 10. It's gone up and down. Somebody's maybe having trouble with their connection. A few more moments. My sister is here. Wendy, are you in the room? Anything to report, anyone? Then preferably let me know before the class. But if you've just realised, oh, I haven't told Karina that I've got this injury or that injury, then you could quickly type it up. Hopefully I'll see it. As I say, sometimes, hiya, Wendy. Sometimes Facebook, it just takes a few moments for the writing to come up. So, but if you do have anything to tell me, please let me know. And look after yourself throughout your sequence. Be careful. While we're waiting for everyone to come online, you would probably, as always in any yoga class, but it's good to have some props around. A couple of blocks, a yoga strap if you have one, and a rolled up blanket or even a towel would do. And your eye cover for the end, or if you don't use an eye cover, it doesn't matter. But whatever you've got handy, it's always good to have it all there in readiness for the class if we are using it. Okay, we have 10, and we've got about two more minutes, so we shall just hang on. Those of you that are in, feel free once you've got yourself organised to lie back on your mat, and we shall get started soon. We now have 12 in the room. Welcome, welcome. 13. Good evening. It stopped telling me who's in. I've only got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pictures up, but it's telling me there's 13 of you. But that's fine. I'll find out at the end who was watching, who was not just watching, but doing the sequence this evening. Oh, it's gone down to 12 again. 13, 12. Couple more moments. going to quickly look also. I'm using my phone for filming, and I like to keep my laptop on in case anyone's having trouble. I try and help them, but hopefully navigate their way on in a moment. So while we're waiting for the last 2 or 3 people to join us, just lie back. Don't fall asleep if you've had a busy day. Maybe keep your eyes open if there's, perhaps that might happen. So just nice deep breathing, but don't fall asleep or you'll miss your class. I had another run today, second time I've run this past couple of weeks. And it's really good. And I need to make more time for things like that when things get back to some kind of normality. I'm going to try and get back into a little bit of running, nothing serious like I used to do. But it's good to get the old legs moving again. But yeah, I need this yin yoga. So hopefully there might be a couple of others. Ah, hello Velvet. I can see you on the laptop now that who's in, and Lynn's here. Lynn, Elaine, Velvet, Wendy, and a few others that I've already said hello to, so welcome. Right, no one's asking for help, so should all be getting on. 15 now. Welcome, welcome. Let's begin. Just pop this laptop off in case it does any pinging and disturbs us. Shut down. Hi Megan. Hello Andy. It should be Andrea, Andy, and Andy, Andy. Hello Andrea, in brackets Andy. And I think Andy Gray is joining us as well. 14 now. I make it about 30 seconds before we get started. Just hoping there's still a few more should be in the room. Okay, let's begin. Some people might join us. Probably pressing too many buttons and getting themselves all flustered. We're ready. We're in Shavasana and we're preparing for 90 minutes of smoothly working with our breath and with our body. And remember, yin is the opposite of yang, although there's always a little bit of yang in the yin and a little bit of yin in the yang. In fact, in a yin sequence, you should be constantly trying to drop in to some yin, so you relax in the poses. And we definitely do that in a yin class. So no pulling, no pressing yourself into deeper poses. Allow and release. Okay? Softly, softly does it. I will be doing readings for you tonight. Last week I didn't do any reading. And this week I'm going to. I'll probably need to put more light on as well because the light is fading so that I can read for you. So, tonight's yin class is focusing on grounding, the root chakra. Hi Laura. We're focusing on the root chakra, the base of our spine. And by connecting to the root chakra, we'll feel much more grounded and connected. If you've been feeling a little bit wobbly today, as in emotionally, this should be a really nice grounding practice for you. So really try your best to not try so hard, okay? Really allow these poses. Remember the yin mantra? Allow the poses to get into your body. Don't use your body to get into the poses. And it takes a little bit of learning with yin. You know, we're so used to being yang that it takes time. So please, relax. It doesn't mean that in some poses there might have to be some muscular involvement, but the main pose, the main body of the pose, everything trying to be relaxed so that we can really work into the fascia of the body and find some release, some space, some fluidity to our body's movement and really grounding our emotions. I'm going to give you one more moment in Shavasana. I'm going to close my curtains. And I think I'm going to have to put on as nice and cozy as it feels with fairy lights and candles. I fear you might not see me very well, or I might not see my book when I'm reading. So I'll put on a bit more light, mainly for myself. So before we come out of Shavasana to begin our sequence, ask yourself the usual questions. How is my body? How is my body? Scan through your body. Imagine you're standing over your body, you're looking down. Does your body look relaxed to you as you look down at it? Where might you be holding tension? Notice what your jaw is doing. And if you're clenching your teeth together or you're pushing the tongue up into the roof of your mouth, then relax it. Release. And swallow. Take a mouthful of saliva. Produce saliva in your mouth. And then swallow to relax your throat. Press firmly into the mat with the back of your skull and pull your chin into your throat. And then relax that. Press firmly into the mat with your shoulders and then let them go. Rock the right buttock off the floor and then the left side to side a couple of times. Relax the buttocks and let your legs go heavy and release. Our root chakra, Muladhara, is said sometimes, it's often referred to as being at the base of the spine, on the tailbone, or at the perineum of the body. And we want to imagine, if you like working with colour, that from the tips of your toes to the base of your spine, your body is a deep, deep red. And we want our legs to be grounded. Now from this place, we'll slowly begin to move, walking your feet gently in until they're grounded, soles of the feet on the floor. Now this next movement, as soon as I say rock the legs, a lot of people will try and get their knees to the floor either side. Remember, it's yin. So with the smallest movement, just tick-tock your legs side to side. And all I want you to do is feel that you're crossing your tailbone and your sacrum. So small movement, tick-tock, tick-tock. Don't swing the legs, just a little movement. In fact, the feet should remain flat. Don't move the feet. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Energizing, awakening the base of the spine. It's like we're telling our body that we're about to work our root chakra energy. Awakening the base of the spine. A couple more tick-tocks, like a little pendulum. You can maybe even hear the sound. I've got my little alarm clock so that I can time the poses for you. And then when you're ready, let the legs and the whole body roll over to one side. Stay there a moment. And then come softly up to sitting. Welcome. Please extend your legs out straight in a sitting position. Okay, I need glasses, I need my book. Andrea, I love this book. I must remember to give you it back, or maybe I'll forget. So I've been using this quite a lot in the yin class, Andrea. I decided not to read it for myself first. When I do readings to the yin class, I just instinctively pick up a book and open it anywhere and begin to read. So I'm reading from part of the book that you lent to me, Bringing Yoga to Life. I'm not sure if any of the yogis that are in yin yoga tonight have heard the passage that I'm reading. But like I said the other week, it never hurts to hear things twice, 3, 4 times. It's always good. So, stretching out your legs. We're going to do 6, I think, different things. Yes, about 6 different things. Right side of body leading. And then we'll go back to the beginning and do them all left. So, please bring your right leg towards you. In fact, you don't have to bring it very far. It's just the ankles that are going to cross. So left leg fully extended. It is a forward bend, so if you want a blanket under your bottom, please do. Especially if you suffer from sciatica. It's good to raise your hips in a forward bend if you get sciatica. So a little blanket under your bottom will be good. Ground your left leg and then simply take your right ankle across your left. Then with the hands softly on the floor, you're not going to catch your feet, are you? Youngsters, no catching, no pulling, no ambition to go anywhere in particular. Slide forward with your hands. And let me just check the time so I know when it's going to be 4 minutes. So you're hanging over your legs. The weight of your right leg pressing the back of your left leg more firmly down. If there is pain, so if there's quite a deep feeling of stretch, stay with it. If there's any sharp pain, if anything starts to tingle like electricity, then uncross and just do the legs beside each other. But where possible, the right leg is weighing the left leg down for 4 minutes. Be as peaceful as you can. If your head is quite near to your top leg, you could always make a tower of fists and place your chin or your forehead on your hands. But again, don't have ambition to get there. So from this book called Bringing Yoga to Life, The Everyday Practice of Enlightened Living by Donna Farey, I'm reading from chapter 7, The Freedom of Discipline. That's 1 minute gone. Discipline is a decidedly unpopular notion these days, associated as it is with self-coercion, denial of pleasure. Far from the punitive and constricting connotations of this word as it's used today, the Latin origin of the word discipline, means to impart knowledge, to enlighten. This gives us a very different insight into the purpose of discipline. Rather than constraining, discipline is any practice that contains our thoughts, energy, and actions so that we can use ourselves in a potent way. Just as a bucket riddled with holes cannot carry water from one place to another, lack of containment of our physical, psychological, and psychic energies sabotages our best intentions. Last minute here, so maybe go a little bit deeper, but no force. Most of us think that to discipline our lives would mean to dampen all the fun that we're having. We may see discipline on one side of the ledger as limiting our choices and imagine the credit side as full of marvellous and spontaneous possibilities. We might notice that whenever we try to give a clear structure and shape to our actions, a subtle and sometimes not so subtle inner conflict pulls us almost instantly into a contradictory direction. 10 seconds. Now, keeping the legs as they are, slowly draw in from your pelvic floor, pull in your belly to support your journey back up to stacking your spine. So we must be slow, especially when we've been forward for a long time like that. Really support and then lift. Now take the right foot, the foot that's on top, and place it just across from the outside. The little toe edge is on the outside of the knee on the floor. So sage twist sometimes called, or Ardha Matsyendrasana. Gently bring your left arm around the upright right leg and the right hand behind you. And just take easy breaths, hugging this leg in while still keeping the left leg straight and the foot pointed up. Just for a few breaths. Counterposing by twisting the spine after it's been held in a forward bend. Okay, and then back to the center for our next yin pose. Now, still the right leg, bring the leg and press the ankle just above the knee. It can be sometimes quite difficult to find the part that's comfortable, so it's very near the kneecap, but just above it. Then, leaning back onto your hands, slide the left leg in until the foot is on the floor. Bump your bottom towards your left heel and lie down. This is where you might use a strap. So sorry, I should have said that first. We're going to lie down, and as we lie down, the left foot comes up. Our right hand goes through to hold the left, or we might have a strap between our hands round the back of the left thigh. You can hold the left shin, but I don't want that to be strenuous for you. So lie back and be where it feels doable without feeling that you're working your shoulders. You're simply holding the left leg while the right leg is out turning. 4 minutes here again. So try and relax your shoulders, your neck, your collarbones are smiling. Relax. Reclining pigeon. Stretch but don't strain. Back to the chapter. What pulls us in this opposing direction is usually a healthy longing for the feeling of freedom. This longing of vitality and necessary, This longing is a vital and necessary component of any spiritual quest. We may want this feeling of lightness and joy in our lives, that we rush headlong and grab for whatever and whoever will provide us with some semblance of this feeling. Yet this freedom is like drinking salty water. The more we drink, the more we feel thirsty. When we channel our energy, we start to use the same longing and desire in a way that can bring deep satisfaction. An important part of learning to challenge our energies is increasing our tolerance for staying in the pause between desire and satisfaction. Now, see, this is what I love about doing readings. I love when you can really connect that to what we're doing right now. Do you have a desire in this pose to go further, or can you have tolerance for staying back a little bit? We're holding it longer, so we don't need to go further. Just hold and let the pose develop. Halfway. This is a very important point. For some of us, even a momentary delay in quenching our longing can cause a feeling of inner panic. Just as a person trying to quit smoking may struggle to overcome the urge to smoke. When we contain desire, we begin to understand what it is that we really crave and how we might put an end to the craving. An essential element of increasing our skillfulness in this domain is learning to be in the pause between a feeling and a reaction. What happens in the pause between the longing for a feeling of freedom and how we respond to that longing is worth considering further, because it's in this pause that we make a choice. For instance, we may come home from work, and the moment we find the house empty, we feel a twinge of loneliness. We might feel a physical lassitude or mental fatigue from the demands of our workday. Or we might actually feel a pleasant silence within ourselves. Let us imagine that something in us wants comfort or a lightening of spirit. This is a potent moment that many of us experience daily, if not hourly. The moment of feeling a longing for happiness. Okay, 30 seconds. Begin to place the left foot back down in a bent leg position, keeping the right ankle crossed over for a few more seconds. And then take the right ankle off of the left leg and stretch the right leg up in the sky. Now we're going to hold this right leg up there, so again you might want to loop a strap around the right foot, or simply be more content not to have such a big stretch in the right leg. So without lifting and straining your shoulders, maybe just holding behind the right thigh as the right leg stretches up. And then stretch your left leg along the floor. So no straining, no pulling, Simply either holding your strap with straight arms, shoulders grounded, or holding the leg. An easy stretch on the right leg. Stay there. Maybe not quite 4 minutes on this one, but a little while. If we can get comfortable in being in the pause, however it manifests for us physically, psychologically, and emotionally, we have a better chance of responding to our longing in a way that is not simply a stopgap measure. Maybe we've become accustomed to grabbing for the remote, pouring ourselves a drink, reaching for the phone. Usually these mechanical strategies simply dull or numb our feeling state. Millions of people worldwide spend a third of their waking lives glued to the television, in a state of physical, mental, and emotional paralysis. What might happen if we had the presence of mind and the wherewithal to really be in the pause and ask, what would truly satisfy us? When we contain rather than constantly discharge our feeling state, we allow ourselves to feel completely. And in feeling completely, we re-experience our aliveness and the source of that aliveness. I think we'll relax the right leg before I finish that part. So bring both feet very subtly to the earth. And as your feet find the earth, again take that ever so gentle tick-tocking just across the sacrum. Both legs moving side to side, but the feet staying grounded. Remember, we're working on grounding, on rooting, on connecting. So feet stay still, legs gently rock. How's that feeling so far? Staying on our back. Now, keep the left knee bent, left foot grounded. Bring the right knee towards you, and with your right hand, hug the knee to your armpit. We're coming into half happy baby. You could again use a strap around your foot, or simply hold the calf, or a little bit of muscle power with your right arm holding your right foot and pressing. So the right arm or the strap might be working in a yang way by gently pulling, but the right leg is surrendering down. Don't open it out to the side. Keep ankle above knee and hold there subtly. You could let the left leg extend, but only if that's easy for you, not if it's causing stress. Ardha Ananda Balasana. We're doing that one again, Fiona. You did it in the 5-4-2-5 class, so hips hopefully feeling nice and open. Ardha Ananda Balasana. Hold and breathe. When we cultivate the discipline to pause, it becomes possible for us to make a choice that's outside our normal habit pattern. And it's in breaking through these entrained patterns that we begin to experience a more liberated state of being. Gradually, we become the freedom that we previously longed for. According to tantric teaching, the esoteric practice of activating one's innate spiritual energy, mind and prana manifest as two aspects of unity. Mind is that which is aware, and prana is the active energy that gives support to the awareness. When we learn to master the mind, we automatically master the movement of the prana, and vice versa. The aim of any system of meditation or spiritual attunement is to master this movement of awareness. What we discipline then is the movement of awareness, training ourselves to stay with, rather than run away from, all that we experience. When we choose to stay with our practice, despite the inevitable highs and lows of life, we are actively choosing to focus our awareness on the part of us that's unchanging. With each practice session, we start to identify with this steady part of ourselves. When we're feeling sad, we practice anyway. When we're happy or excited, we practice anyway. When we're in the depths of grief, we practice anyway. When we have 1,000 other things to do, we practice anyway. We do not practice to rid ourselves of the feelings or to suppress them. Neither do we practice out of denial. When we practice through thick and thin, happy and unhappy, we are saying, sadness is moving through me, but sadness is not who I am. I'll pause there and let you come out of your happy baby, placing the right foot down, bending both knees. And then as soon as both feet are bent, hug your knees, hug them both in. And this time, rocking but holding the knees to your chest. So it might be a little bit of a bigger movement now. Rocking across your spine as a counter pose. Well done. Again, isn't that just so fitting? I didn't read this before. I just thought, that chapter sounds nice. I'll read that tonight. And it just fits with what we're doing and this time that we're in. And your dedication, your discipline. How many of you online? All 15 of you disciplined to tune in and do your practice. And for many of you, you were doing your practice at this time on Tuesday nights before. And this is what I keep trying to get over to all the regulars and to new people joining. It's okay to catch up. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I've only kept each recording on for 24 hours, because I'd much rather you were here live with me. Otherwise, I'm talking to mid-ear, which I don't feel like I'm doing. I actually feel because you're there live that I'm interacting with you. I hope you feel that as well. So keep to your regular classes, keep with your practice. It is a practice, it is a discipline. Alrighty. I think we'll let's leave that one. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud here. I was going to do another one, but we'll come back to the beginning now. So when you're ready, roll over to one side and come up. Stretch your legs back out. Come back to that very first pose, but the opposite way round. So legs are fully extended. And now right leg is nice and straight and strong. Left ankle crosses over. Again, if it's too uncomfortable and you found it not doable, you had your legs apart on the other side, then do legs apart again to make it even. And then hands on the floor, drawn slightly back with the belly, but remember, no pressure, just a feeling of support in the pelvic floor. Rooting down, pressing our right leg down with our left, and then sliding forward. Maybe the forearms are on the floor. Maybe your fists are on your thigh or your knee, you're down here. Maybe you have a cushion on your top leg. I never thought of that. You could have a cushion here. Yeah, be comfortable. 4 minutes from now. Finish that little bit I was reading. I've forgotten where I am. Yes. So when we practice, sadness is moving through us, but sadness is not who we are. Excitement is moving through us, but excitement is not who we are. Grief is moving through us, but grief is not who we are. When we practice anyway, we make room to fully experience all our feelings, while at the same time not allowing those feelings to paralyze or solidify into our identity. This paying attention to the ground of the mind is like observing the sky rather than the things in it. We may notice a bird flying through the sky, but certainly the sky does not become smudged from the movement. Today it's rainy, but somehow the sky does not become wet. Tomorrow it's sunny, but the sky doesn't ignite into flames. The next day there's an exciting show of thunder and lightning, yet no one rushes around trying to repair the sky. In the same way, when we have the discipline to stay with our practice, we insist on remaining identified with our own neutral witness, the part of us that stays the same regardless of the passing show. Yoga tells us that our biggest obstacle in perceiving reality as it is our habit of identifying with and participating in the stuff that fills our mind. And what is this mind stuff? Latent impressions are left in our minds from past experiences in the form of memories, which tend to dictate our way of seeing things in the present and thus further determine the shape of our future. We're almost done on this side, so you can move a little deeper if your body invites you to. As if our minds are not already filled to the brim with past impressions, we further complicate our mind state by making things up, filling the mind with fantasies and fears about things that haven't happened yet. The habit of participating in all this tomfoolery itself forms more latent impressions, which strengthens our conviction that this is who we are. It's as if we have become so used to dressing in masquerade that we start to see ourselves as our fantasy character. When we establish a habit of shifting this identification so that we participate with the background of thought, the silent ground of consciousness, this too forms an impression. Just as the impressions left by the constant stream of thoughts and sensations tend to propel more of the same, the impressions left through participation with the silent substrate of consciousness generates a flow of itself. 30 seconds. Silence begins to flow through us as our fundamental state of being. This is as it has always been. Nothing new has been created. We simply have cleared the pathway through which the silence can flow and regenerate itself. This new impression, like the sky, is itself impressionless. It does not offer itself as a ground for collecting new material. What begins as outer imposed discipline becomes an inner discipline that generates itself. This self-generative process is always fresh and original, giving us the freedom to be and to act authentically. Now remember, before you come up here, draw in your pelvic floor, connect to your legs, draw back with your belly, and come up. Well done for being in stillness. Bend your top leg, placing the foot just outside the knee there on the floor, flat through your left foot. Use your right arm to hug the leg across, so your left knee is kind of directed at your right armpit. Left hand behind you, and twist here for just a minute. Easy breathing, but maybe a little bit more thinking about the drawing back. When you exhale, draw back on your belly and twisting around. Counterposing and energizing the spine, letting the blood flow into the spinal muscles. A few more moments. I'm going to get ready to go on our back for those couple of poses now, so perhaps your strap again. Before you lie down, get the leg ready. So turning to the front and flexing the crossed left ankle, placing the ankle just above the knee. Try and find that little pocket of muscle, tissue, fat, whatever you want to call it, so it doesn't hurt your thigh. Turning out at the hip, leaning back, sliding your right foot in until it's grounded, sliding your bottom towards your heel, and lie back. Stay with the right foot grounded for a moment, or maybe throughout. You know, if you get tired with the leg being up, just put the foot back down. And then, when you feel ready, if you feel ready, lift the right, thread either the hand through and just casually hold, so no stress or strain in neck and shoulders. Find a place that allows you to stay there, and if you get tired, place the foot down. Try and focus on the words, the lesson, but still being aware of the sensations in your body. No stress, no strain, just stretch. There's a wonderful story about Milarepa, the 11th century, I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, so excuse me if you know them. Milarepa, the 11th century Buddhist poet, saint and yogi who reached enlightenment in his lifetime. This was rather an extraordinary accomplishment, given that as various times in his life he had been a scoundrel, a murderer, a thief, a liar, a suicidal depressive, in essence someone most of us could relate to. Yet Milarepa managed to harness his energy with such masterful awareness that he became one of Tibet's most cherished teachers. A young man who had the good fortune to meet him was so moved by his accomplishments that he offered his most valuable possession, his beautiful horse. The young man said to Milarepa, "To a man of the world, a good horse is his pride. I give you this fine horse as an offering, praying that you may keep me from hell, into which I else would fall." To which Milarepa replied, "A horse of prana mind have I. I adorn him with the silk scarf of dhyana. His skin is the magic ensuing dhyana stage, his saddle illuminating self-awareness. My spurs are the 3 visualizations, his crupper the secret teaching of the 2 gates. His head stall is the prana of vital force. His forelock curl is the 3-pointed time. Tranquility within is his adornment. Bodily movement is his rein. And ever-flowing inspiration is his bridle. He gallops wildly along the spine's central path. He is a yogi's horse, this steed of mine. By riding him, one escapes samsara's mind. By following him, one reaches the safe land of Bodhi." Notice that the end result of Milarepa's training is not a quiet carriage horse that hangs its head low, but a horse that gallops wildly along a central pathway. From this passage, we can glean that through this disciplined training of our minds, we do not become watered-down versions of our former self or a lifeless automatons. Rather, all that is feisty and full of life is now channeled. I've seen this to be true in many long-standing yoga practitioners. Through practice, we become truer to who we are, eccentric and full of ourselves. The untrained habitual mind is often compared to a drunken monkey, but like Milarepa, I prefer the image of a wild horse. For this archetype, we see the potential for what was once uncontrolled, impulsive energy to be channeled into harmonious action. Let's place the feet down, grounded and stable. Stable horse. I'm getting delirious, it's late. Okay, maybe again using your strap or just ever so gently holding the back of your thigh, raise the left leg up. Keeping your right leg bent for most of us is the most gentle variation of this stretch. But again, if it's easy for you and you would like to, then extend your right leg along the floor. Holding on to the left leg softly and stretch. Allow the stretch. Allow. As a horsewoman, I have experienced firsthand how disciplined training can transform a potentially lethal animal into a creature of magic that can remove human limitations and give so much joy. And I have looked on as riders with poorly trained horses spend their mounted hours fighting, bucking, balking and bolting horses. Even as their fingers bleed from the pull of the reins, they will not consider taking the time to retrain their difficult mounts, declaring all the while that they ride for pleasure and to not make it into work. Most will look on in envy at the rider with loose reins and relaxed horse, convinced that this accomplishment is sheer luck, or that the rider simply got a good horse. It's like the old adage, the harder I work, the luckier I get. In the same way, I've overheard yoga students admire the accomplished demonstration of a yoga pose, as if it had become floating down a stream in a basket, and wonder how they too could get so lucky. Well, if I've heard that from students once, I've heard it 100 times. I've been practicing these postures and developing my ability to move into yoga poses for 20 years, for over 20 years. And yet some new students will look at me in a pose and say, well, it's okay for you, it's easy for you. And it takes a lot of convincing to tell them that once upon a time I could get nowhere near that pose. So we're back to discipline, learning, practice, practice, practice to make progress. Just like training a horse. If we look at the admirable traits and accomplishments of others, we almost always find a commitment to disciplined practice. It is only when we're willing to be honest with ourselves and give up the artifice that we're having a good time that we can give ourselves wholeheartedly to the task at hand. This is the beginning of getting our energy to work for us rather than against us. Last minute here. Regardless of the specific form of meditation we choose, or the specific style or tradition of yoga we practice, we can begin to channel our energy by asking the question, are my choices supporting what is deeply satisfying in my life? And are my choices leading to long-term freedom or short-lived pleasure? If we went through an average day asking these questions, our day might look quite different. These types of questions lead us to evaluate what's important to us and to choose to what purpose we devote our time and energy. Okay, lower the leg, relax and bend both knees, and take windscreen wipers with the legs. Little bit, and come into, nearly forgot your half happy baby there. It's a little rocking, and then both knees bent, hug your left knee, pull the knee towards you, a little bit of yang, pull it in, and then left foot above the left knee, flexed, as if holding up the sky. Hold the foot or wrap your strap around the foot and pull gently, so your left arm can be working yang, shoulder down, and the left knee descending closer to the armpit or even deeper down towards the floor. Hold your happy baby, and again, only if it's really comfortable for you, extend the opposite leg. So left leg, happy baby, right leg either bent or straight. This is all about rooting, grounding, root chakra. When we're tempted to press the snooze alarm button, we can ask whether 30 minutes more sleep will bring us the same results as 30 minutes of yoga practice. If we don't have the energy for practice, why don't we? Do we awaken feeling tired because we overate or over-rimbled that night before? Or do we chronically overwork so that we feel depleted and irritable all the time? Can we just take responsibility for the untold ways we cop out? When students of Baba Das, the long-time silent sadhu and spiritual leader, asked him how they could get out of bed early enough to practice, he responded by writing on his chalkboard, "Get up at 5 a.m. every day, no matter what. And after a while, you'll start to go to bed at 10 p.m. Oh, I like that. It's not go to bed at 10 so you can get up at 5. It's just get up at 5 and do your practice. And before you know it, you're going to really need, want and look forward to a 10 o'clock bedtime. I like that a lot. Hold your happy baby for another 30 seconds, everyone. When we sidestep our practice, what are we escaping from? When we can't make time to practice, what are we avoiding? Usually we're escaping from all the little demons that have set up shop in our minds and hearts, who are currently having a reckless party, and the drinks are on us. We may also be escaping from a feeling we find uncomfortable, or from the very questions that might lead us to reassess our lives. Let's leave that there for now. Slowly release your happy baby, and then sweep your knees into your chest. This time circle around, move around the base of your spine. Do about 6 circles at the base of your spine, hugging your knees one way, and 6 the other. Now the next few poses are a little bit more active, with shorter holds, 2-minute holds. And you probably would be best with a couple of blocks, a block under each hand for the dragons. Rock or roll yourself up to sitting. And come onto your knees. We have in a moment high dragon, hands on the front knee, low dragon, possibly really low dragon, dragon's wing, and again, sorry Fiona, you were in the last class as well, it wasn't planned that I'd be repeating any, foot grounds, and we pick up the back leg for the quadricep stretch. So please come into a right foot forward position with a block under each hand, or your hands gently on your right knee. Either way, make sure that if you're using blocks, they're high enough that you're not leaning. So head above tail, back leg comfortably back, 2 minutes here. Now I'm going to stick with the readings and keep my eye on the second hand of the clock, and I'll move you every 2 minutes. So try, if you possibly can, to let your eyes close and hold these poses 2 minutes. It's 30 seconds already. Often these feelings have to do with a terrible sense of meaningless, emptiness that we're trying to fill or cover up. Any evasion will do as long as it serves to deflect and delay experiencing the source of our unease. Or we have a deeply ingrained unconscious fear of failure, and taking the risk to make a go of anything that really matters to us puts us smack dab in the middle of our fear. So when we insist on getting up early in the morning, when we insist on staying with our meditation for the time we agreed, and when we insist on practicing our poses every day, we're making space to visit these questions. 30 seconds. And we can be assured that when we begin to insist on this new game plan, the ego will balk. It's too cold, it's too hot, it's too late, it's too early, it's too noisy, or heaven forbid, it's too quiet. Or we're too stiff, too hungry, too tired, too nervous, too busy, too bored, too distracted, too upset to practice. Now, moving into your next position, low dragon. To come lower, you could just have your blocks flat and stay with your foot quite centered, maybe a bit like this. Or move your foot wider and have your blocks in front and place your forearms on them. Low flying dragon. So as deep as you want to go, maybe even forearms on the floor. Next 2 minutes. Close your eyes, feel the discomfort. When we hear our ego whispering these endless excuses and evasions, we can make note of the excuse and do our practice anyway. We can develop a sense of humour when we hear ourselves come up with the wildest evasions and do our practice anyway. This is how we begin to rein in the mind. As we learn to rein in the mind and rein in our actions, we gain control over our lives once again. One more minute here. We'll actually be staying in the low dragon and going straight into dragon's wing, but you can always come up a bit if you're finding it too intense. Another 30 seconds. It would be unbalanced to say that practice is simply about facing our demons or facing what's unpleasant, unfinished or unresolved in our lives. As the mind becomes centred in its stillness, we rediscover the intrinsic loveliness of the mind and how wonderful it is to go through the day with the support of such a centred mind. As the body becomes strong, flexible and relaxed, we rediscover the joy of physical vitality and how wonderful it is to be able to do all the things we enjoy without restriction. Now everyone, staying in your low-flying dragon, let your right foot either turn to the right, so the foot points out to the right at the toes and the knee moves over the toes, or you keep the foot pointing forward, you're lowered down and you roll the foot. But be cautious if you have weak ankles on rolling. But whichever one you're doing, the leg is moving away from you and you feel a stretch in the inner right thigh. 2 minutes, dragon's wing. I hope you're enjoying the readings as much as I am. I like this chapter. I haven't read this one before. Through ever-increasing skillfulness, we become more adaptable in response to life's demands. But it's not just the positive after effects of the practice that can keep us motivated. It's the deep satisfaction and solace within the practice. And it is this gradual cessation of conflict as we learn to inhabit the pause between desire and satisfaction and discover that therein lies fullness. And as we become that which we seek, there is no one and nothing left to discipline. Why then can it be so hard to devote ourselves to sustained practice? Resistance to practice occurs when we have not yet formed a clear intention. Until we form a clear intention, we cannot rally our energy and align it with our goal. We have to know what it is that we really want. We may say we're practicing yoga because we want to lose weight or become flexible or fit. But until we understand that what we really want is to feel truly alive, there will always be a contrary movement that pulls us in a negative direction. Okay, you ready for the last one on this side? Sorry, second last one I forgot about. There's one more I forgot to demonstrate. So, you're in your dragon's wing. Bring the right leg back in until the foot's grounded and facing forward. Take a block under your left hand. We did this in the yang class. And then looking over your right shoulder, just bring the right arm behind you. Now that might be enough. Or can you lift the left foot and hold it? So it's a little bit more yang this part, yeah? Just hold it nice and close. Let's just do 30 seconds on this one. 2 minutes, too much. Planning on paper doesn't always work when you put it into practice. Another 10 seconds. So even if the foot's down, your arm's behind your back, and you're rotating round, this is still enough. And then coming back to the center. Take your couple of blocks now. And then keeping the back leg, in fact, stretching it a little further back. Can you lift your right forefoot so your right foot's on its heel? And then simply forward bend over your right leg. Now you might have the blocks something like this, maybe higher up, maybe just your hands on them, or maybe your forearms, or you might have your hands on the floor. Forward bending, be mindful of the back of your knee. Softly, gently does it. Tailbone is up and back. You're not sitting back on your back heel. You're lifted away from your back leg, stretching forward over your front leg. Another 30 seconds. Guess where we might go after this? Who's our best friend in yin? Good old downward facing dog. A few more seconds. And then moving forward, plant the right foot and pull it back. Up into down dog for several breaths. When you're in down dog, you can bend both knees and straighten them. You can wag your tail. So this is counter posing and releasing any tension that the previous dragons might have built up. Okay, relaxed now. Bring the knees down. And take the left foot forward for our first 2 minutes. Remember, you either want to be holding yourself up on blocks or hand on the front thigh but not leaning. So come upright, head above tail, grounding down through your back leg, shin and foot and front foot. 2 minutes. So starting the whole sequence on the other side. Again, maybe close your eyes. Once we find the core of our intentions, this intention acts like a laser to cut through the endless excuses. We stop having a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other, battling it out in a tit-for-tat competition. And instead, we align ourselves from the center of our intention, and the friction of opposing forces ceases to obstruct our momentum. When we avoid practice, we often are failing to distinguish between stimulation and agitation. We may mistakenly interpret agitation as stimulation, and further we may interpret peacefulness as dullness. Once a friend sympathetically shared how hard it must be for me to live in the country where nothing ever happens. I assured her that every day my garden was a theatre of sensual drama. Colours changing, seasons shifting, sounds of birds and other wildlife. I countered by asking her how stimulating she found her 2-hour commute to work. It's understandable that we may come to feel threatened by the cusp of peacefulness, given the relentless way in which most of us are bombarded with stimuli throughout the course of a normal day. We may find the hubbub perversely reassuring, as if all this commotion were some evidence of a meaningful life. We may unconsciously view disciplined practice or ordering our lives as staid compared to the seemingly glittering attraction of going out to the movies or the mall. But how often do we return from such sojourns, is that how you pronounce it, feeling empty-hearted? Okay, position 2, from the high dragon to the low. So you might just move your blocks forward and just press forward, or again, take the left foot a wider step, the blocks inside, place your forearms on them or simply your hands, and go down, as low down as you wish to, maybe all the way down onto your forearms on the mat. Stretching the right leg further back. 2 minutes in low flying dragon. We're nearly done with this chapter. A participant once arrived at an intensive yoga retreat, declaring that her whole life was in a chaotic mess. Her body felt battered by poor diet and lack of exercise, and the stress of her high-powered job had left her filled with anxiety, so full of anxiety that she needed sleeping pills to get to sleep and tranquilizers to function through the day. On the one day of the retreat in which participants had an opportunity to practice silence, she chose instead to leave the retreat site to wine and dine at a local hotspot with a few other talkative companions. Curiously, after a few days on the retreat, she proclaimed, "I long to corrupt you." I wondered whether the measured lifestyle of the retreat setting translated in her mind into a kind of death, and it was this interpretation that had made it so hard for her to lead a more balanced life. Whether our discipline grants us greater freedom or not depends on what drives us to practice. Are we driven by fear or by joy? Are we driven by terror of the magnitude of life and an attempt to make our life small enough that we feel safe? Or are we driven by a longing to become big enough, strong enough to endure the larger life that's possible for us? 10 seconds, and then we're going to either turn the foot or roll the foot until the left leg is rolling away in a wing-like shape. There we go. So either turn the foot. If you roll the foot and you feel anything in your ankle, flatten it and turn it out. If we use our practice to shield ourselves from the world or to obsessively control and suppress our real thoughts and feelings, no amount of practice will bring about the happiness we desire. When our practice is driven by a need to make our entire life predictable and secure, the results will be psychologically and spiritually stifling. Years ago, I invited a very respected teacher to come and share his knowledge with my students. This teacher was revered for his strict practice regime. Indeed, he had a little book detailing exactly what he was going to do on every day of the week. Although the technical information he had to impart was of value, it soon became apparent that his foremost concern was in adhering to his own practice schedule. Such was his obsession that one afternoon he got up while the class was still in relaxation, got dressed and left. All so he could keep up his exacting routine. His instructions were almost unanimously negative, offering a litany of all the things the students needed to correct, without offering the kind of praise that encourages the effort necessary to make change. At the end of the intensive, when it's traditional for the teacher to thank the students and for the students to have a chance to show their appreciation, he simply dashed out of the door without so much as a goodbye. Oh, that's really sad. The students who had given him their fullest attention for 3 days were disheartened. Perhaps the question that this incident provoked were as valuable as the intensive itself. Okay, come up from your dragon's wing, flatten the foot. I always say flatten the flute. Ground the foot, I'll need to change to that. Bring it back in a little bit, so it's where our first position was in the lunge. Yeah, so left foot down, right leg stretching back, and then coming up onto your front thigh and turning, your right hand on a block, and you had missed something, right hand on the block and taking left arm behind your back. Move forward through the pelvis and perhaps lift the back foot. If you can't catch it, it doesn't matter. If it's too much yang to catch it, it doesn't matter. You can even leave it on the floor and just have the arm draped around your back and hold. A few moments. Feel the stretch up the front of your thigh. Feel the gentle twist. And then drop the foot down gently. And bring the left forefoot up off the mat. Either slide the foot forward or bump the back leg back a little. Find where you want your hands or blocks to be and fold over your left leg. Just about 30 seconds here, like the other side. I'll finish this last little verse here. After this experience, I began to wonder about my own perfectionist tendencies and harsh standards. Any practice can be used as a shield to protect us from life. Discipline can be just as effective as sloth in helping us escape from reality. We can schedule, control, and otherwise fill up our day with so many plans that there's not even the smallest crack for an outside influence to seep in. If we find that any variation in our routine evokes a sense of insecurity, then we may be using discipline to cordon ourselves off from the greater challenge of securing our spiritual practice in the ground of everyday life. Achieving a dynamic balance between aspiration and actuality can be our gauge for knowing whether or not our discipline is setting us free. Slowly lower the foot down, slide it back, and go into your last downward facing dog of the night. Stretch your hips up, maybe wag your tail if you're a happy dog, or bend and straighten the knees a few times. Best done together rather than separately, just to take care of your sacroiliac. Sorry, I might have lost you there for a second. I tried to clear up my phone's internal storage and it said I was done really well, and now it's telling me it's dangerously high and flashing up. If anyone can give me any advice on internal storage of the phone, then tell me what I need to do. All right, last pose, everyone, to each side of the body, banana asana. Just in case there's someone who doesn't know banana asana, maybe have a quick look and I'll just demonstrate. There's my bookmarks, my bits of paper out the way. So with banana asana, you're on one side of your mat, let's say the left side. You take your right leg to the right side. Oh, sorry, it's come up again. I don't know if that interfered with your viewing or just mine, but messages flashing up. All right, so right leg goes way out to the right and the left ankle crosses if possible. You move your upper body also to the right and hold on to your forearms, looking up towards the ceiling, trying to ground your shoulders. Okay, so you start at the left, legs go right, upper body goes right, and the left side of your body is stretching. And you look a bit like a banana. So, stretch in that banana shape. The right leg goes really wide outside of the mat, and as the left leg comes to join it, if crossing the foot on top is not comfortable, just let it be beside. Arms are over your head, holding either the wrist or the elbows, and you're not lying on your arms, you're looking up to the ceiling, back of your head on the floor. Banana asana. A few seconds, a few moments each side. Technology has been an absolute godsend for this time and being able to do these classes live online, but also very frustrating for someone who doesn't understand all these things, like your internal storage is critically high. Alrighty. Come very gently back to a straight line and come to the right side of your mat, lying in a straight line. Once there, swing your left leg so it's leaving the left side of your mat, nice and straight, and your right leg over to your left. And if possible, cross the ankle on top, if that's too much. So I don't want you rolling your right buttock off the floor to cross the ankle, so stay grounded. And then bump your shoulders and upper body over to the left. Arms back overhead, holding wrist, forearms or elbows if you can reach. Looking up to the ceiling, or Maybe even turning the head to look at the crook of your right elbow. Banana asana, feeling a stretch down the right side of your torso. We're almost done. I hope you've enjoyed your yin practice this evening. Do feedback, give me any messages up on this group page when you're done with your practice. We still have relaxation. A few more moments on this side. And then gently center yourself, wiggle into the center of your mat, do whatever last minute wiggles and stretches that your body feels would be beneficial for relaxation. On your journey into Shavasana, you might want a bolster or a blanket under your knees. And maybe a blanket over you, maybe turn all your lights off and relax. Settling into Shavasana. Relax, relax. Close and cover your eyes. Let go. So those readings have maybe given you some food for thought. But for now, just let it go. What I would like you to do now in these last few minutes is notice how you're feeling, but not so much physically now. Where are you at emotionally? What's the most common answer you give when someone says, but how are you really doing? You know, someone who's concerned for your emotional well-being. Maybe someone close to you, they might notice that you're looking a bit stressed, but you're not admitting it, you know. And so many of us put on that I'm fine presentation to the outside world, even to our nearest and dearest. So how are you feeling? If I was to say to you right now, but how are you really feeling? Would you feel able to really acknowledge your emotions? And maybe you are in a good place. I hope you are. But if you're feeling a bit wobbly, acknowledge it. Acknowledge your emotions, because if we don't, they will find a way out. And we don't want to just keep holding on and suppressing until it comes out as perhaps anger or days of burying our head under the pillow and crying our eyes out. We need to try and move through each day, trying to allow this recognition of where we're at emotionally. To but to naturally ask for help when we might require it, instead of being the I'm fine person. This energetic expression of emotional pain is a big part of us that needs acknowledging. Sometimes all it needs is your presence, your compassion, for you to understand yourself and your emotions. We can build emotional strength and mental strength just the same as we build our physical strength through our postures. When we are doing our yoga practice, as in the asanas, the postures, we're building strength and we're making space. We're stretching the body and we're stretching the mind, and we're making space for both. So can we do the same emotionally? Can we build emotional strength but give ourselves the space to acknowledge, to have compassion for ourselves? Can we try? As you relax, tell yourself, I breathe in love. I breathe out fear. I breathe in love. I breathe out fear. Keep the mental mantra, even if it's just those 2 words. As you're breathing in, say to yourself, love. Know that you're bringing in the energy of love. And as you're breathing out, getting rid of fear, expelling it out of mind, body, emotions. Imagine on the inhale, the energy of love also brings cleansing, healing, and nourishing. And as you exhale, releasing pain and darkness from deep within. Breathe in a loving light, cleansing, healing, nourishing. Breathe out fear, darkness, pain from your body, mind, from the deepest place within you. Release, release, release. Let it go. Aruna Chala Shiva, Aruna Chala Shiva, Aruna Chala Shiva, Aruna Chalam, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Chalam, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Chalam, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Chalam. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Remain perfectly still. And then begin to awaken. Be very gentle with yourself. Wiggle, stretch, blink the eyes back. And just as we would in class, come softly up to acknowledge each other's presence, to say thank you from me to you, and hopefully in return. And as we come to sitting, we bring our hands to our heart center. Thank you so much for coming along. Oh, that message is on my screen again. Thank you so much for your presence this evening. I really feel it and I'm very grateful for it. Thank you for allowing me to guide you, and thank you again to Andrea for the book, and I hope you enjoyed the readings. For now, good night and namaste. Namaste everyone, namaste. Thank you, thank you. Bless you. Stay safe.